and welcome to Guild Gap episode 21. This is our post-PAX South Big Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns announcement event. We know for sure that it's an expansion now, so we are super excited to talk about everything that means. But first, let me introduce my crazy co-hosts. I am Aurora Peachy. To my left is Akasaurus Rex, wandering around. Below me is Corvus.
Yo, what's up?
And Alex.
Joe!
Oh, you're so funny. Hey guys, what's going on? What's going on? Good to see you.
He's a little bit hyped. Why are you so hyped up, Corvus?
Well, I don't know. I
Something,
heard there might have been an announcement recently.
something
I'm not
about
too
the
sure.
weekend.
Something, I don't know.
You know.
Not much, really. Heart of Thorns, guys!
Heart of Thorns!
Oh,
Oh my
It's gonna be
god.
so
Druid.
good.
What was your favorite part? Alex, we'll start with you. What was your favorite part of the announcement? What was your favorite feature that they announced?
this is very selfish. Precursor.
I freaked out when he talked about
crafting
precursors.
scavenger hunts. I mean, it's been something that's been talked about for ages and ages, and there was something on the forums. I'm talking like late 2012, early 2013 when they first discussed the idea of the scavenger hunt and and before collections were a thing. And I think a lot of people had kind of given it up for dead, but then Colin Johansson comes up and goes, "You know what the trickiest part is?" Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, you gem! I've been waiting for it for so long, and I'm just really interested to see how it's going to work. You know, we have to do all these huge quests to get your precursor, whether or not it's repeatable, so you can collect the different ones, and it's going to apply to." Oh, go on, sorry, mate.
There was an interview that actually appeared up today where they talked about how it wasn't going to be like a one-time thing for your account.
Oh,
so I
fantastic.
do believe it's going to be like
There's a
repeatable thing.
collection track or whatever they're going to call it, a mastery track for every precursor.
See, is it going to be one for each
And
individual
one
or
per
will
account.
Will it be one that you can, like, at the end you get, like, a choice or something? Like, between any precursor?
Well,
or?
it'll probably say if you want Dawn or whatever the new equivalent of that is, then you do this track.
Right.
If you want this precursor, you do this track. And
So I was
that's one.
thinking-
It's like collections now. It's once per account.
Yeah. See, I was
That's
thinking it might have been like a repeatable one that at the end you get a box that contains a precursor and you just choose one or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it would be cool to have like one off for each precursor. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be fantastic because
I think so, yeah.
you can like collect all precursors. It'd be cool if they were account bound, so you just don't do it to sell them, but they're
Right.
your personal prize. But going on from each individual track, there was something talked about quite a long time ago to do with legendaries in the game, and what was put forward was that when you get the legendary, when you complete the legendary, you get a mail, and this mail sets you off on a unique quest for that legendary, and you find out all the lore and all the background
Yes.
of where this legendary
Yes.
came
So
from
good.
and all that kind of thing. And I'm not.
Yes.
It'd be really cool if that came to fruition, but I just think that's like such a cool idea, and
That's the
having.
coolest idea, man.
I mean, obviously, stuff like I guess like Flameseeker Prophecies is a fairly easy one to kind of figure out and find out what that was about. But where
Right.
Dawn and Dusk and
Yeah,
sorry,
stuff
Twilight
like
and Sunrise
Frostfang
came.
and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I
I
agree.
want to know where that comes
I've
from.
always wanted stories. Why are these weapons so rare? Why are they so hard? Maybe there's only one person, one blacksmith in the world who can craft Dawn
Yeah.
or who can craft Sunrise.
It'd be funny to find out stuff about like the Dreamer and the like
How
all
did
these like
this come
super
to be?
fourth wall breaking legendaries.
We journey to Equestria at this point. That would be brilliant.
But,
Oh, it's
but I,
Twilight.
But I just think it was such a great idea. I think the aspect of bringing the collections in has really kind of helped people track their not grind progression exactly, but track their kind of loot and reward progression, and just seeing what you're able to do. And instead of just relying on random drops, because the thing is like the way that Colin Johansson was talking, I think that. They've known that it's been a bit of an issue for a while.
Yeah.
The whole precursor situation, to the point there's actually a website, I think it's gw2legendary.com, where it prices up all the individual aspects, and on 90% of the legendaries, your precursor outstrips the cost of all the other materials put together.
Yeah.
And just for them to turn around and just go, well, you know, if we want it to be kind of cynical, self-serving, we could just leave it as it is and watch the gems roll in as they're transferred to gold. But they've taken hold of it, they've we're community, and that, like, we're probably going to come back to this so much during this episode, but they're just embracing the community, and that they've just started listening to what people want, and they're just they're making a brilliant game better. And I'm going to be quiet now, otherwise I'll go on.
That the whole precursor thing was like I think I was actually screaming when I super good. But personally, for me, the thing I'm most looking forward to is the mastery system, because I think there's just so much that they could possibly do with this. Like the new zones are probably not going to add up to map completion, right? Because anyone who doesn't have the expansion then wouldn't be able to get a legendary and stuff because of the whole gifts of exploration. So they could really use the mastery system, you know, like learning specific ways to traverse the map. And maybe there's like different ways you can do that. Maybe you can like go into hang gliding, or maybe there's like lore-based ways to go in, like learning the language of these new civilizations that lets you.
That was so cool.
They let you gain access to like these secret areas that only people like aligned with those civilizations can get to. And because it's not going to add up to map completion, they can totally make like secret areas that only like 10% of the player base are going to be able to get to for things. And that is like. That feeling of exploration and like learning more lore about like these different kind of races and groups of people is like the thing I'm most excited about.
And that's the thing is like having that kind of exploration and mastery factor. You know, you could very easily pop in gifts of exploration into that, because from what I understand, the mastery system it's going to be pretty challenging to max everything out.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing we don't know, is whether there's going to be like they said it was going to be account bound, right? So upgrades you have are going to be able to, you know, you use them on different characters, but we don't know whether there's going to be like an account limit. So whether it's going to even be possible to max out everything if you work hard enough, or if you're going to have like
I would think it is. It would just take an extremely long time.
Yeah. But I think like there's a lot we don't know, but there's so much that they could do with this, and honestly, like it's probably not the most exciting thing for me personally, but it's like up there on the new features, because the thing I'm most excited about is just the story, like seeing where they take the things they've learned from season 2. I want the personal story to basically play like the instances from season 2, you know, those cutscenes, the cinematics, the in-gamey stuff, rather than, you know, the two characters either side talking to each other. But like all of the things they've learned in terms of storytelling from this season could it could just make like the campaign of the expansion like 10 times better than the personal story, and I'm so excited for that.
Do you think that the campaign for the expansion is going to be kind of this like one giant story, kind of like the personal story was at the launch of the game, or do you think it'll kind of be broken up? Because I mean, they have said that this expansion and Living World episodes are two separate things.
The thing to think about here is that like the personal story came all in one at launch, but it was broken up and it was paced out because you had to reach a certain level to play the next part. In this, everyone's at level cap. There's no level cap increase, so how are they going to pace this?
Through the mastery system, or because they said that there's going to be places you cannot get to until you master certain abilities, such as this hang gliding thing. I think is going to be a big component of that. Like you literally cannot get to this next part of your story. You can't physically get to that story star or that location in the map until you do all this other stuff in order to master. So I think the mastery system is going to be kind of the advanced leveling system.
I think that's the most likely way to do it. I mean, they could issue it out in episodes like a season.
I just love the fact.
I don't know. I don't think that's likely. I think, but then again, if they added it all in one go, it would be blasted through within a week by people, you know. So I think if the mastery system is hard to progress through, then that would be a really, really solid way of progressing like the story. Like, oh, we need to go here. And in order to get there, you need to like stay in the jungle and learn different ways to get around, and I think that's awesome.
One of the things that I loved about that mastery system was just how they were basically saying that it was tying into the philosophy of Guild Wars 2 and what they're trying to aim at. And when they kept using the word progression, I just loved that this is what they're focusing for progression, and in the future, even during this expansion, they can add new things into the masteries to it, which would be very it can evolve tenfold organically. And I love the fact that it's not the old, I do still love WoW, but still that the whole old system of getting 10 more levels of gear eye level is just so, it's like math. It's like a mathematics course, and it's just so not fun. Yeah. It's just like getting a new set of gear and another raid, and it's like...
Well, that's it. Like, in games like that, like, the expansion comes out, and you don't really enjoy it because you're kind of focusing on this end goal of getting back all the things you've just worked on, like, to get to stat cap, you need to do that again. Get the new gear, as like Michael Brown was saying that, and during the thing, like, it's all about like the journey. So it's not a game about the end goal of reaching like highest level and highest stats. It's about like having fun along the way. It's not a big race to get there. And I think it sums Guild Wars 2 up so well. Like, you're having fun all the time, and there's more things to focus on than what level you are and what gear you have. And because they're going to be able to like add to these different things they're introducing, like the mastery system and specialization, which I guess we're going to talk about in a bit, but like it's kind of like making a living world, but now they're adding like a living character system almost. Ooh. Like your characters are always going to be able to learn new things, and they're always going to be able to spec their class differently and stuff, and I think it's awesome. So good.
Speaking of that, I did read somewhere that they're redoing the way that you acquire the traits, because when they changed the trait system, I did think the numbers were kind of like slightly arbitrary, that you get a random, you start getting traits like every 6 levels, and then a second one at 66, and there's probably some really clever logarithm behind it, but I didn't kind of really understand it. So it would be really cool, even if you're a brand new player and you come to the game at level 1 and you start earning kind of mastery points straight away, and you're at that point, so by the time you get to the heart of the Maguma jungle, you've at least got a few basic bits and pieces, and you're like, right, let's crack on with this. But I did have the notion for a little bit that that they might keep the keep the living story separate from the expansion. So while everyone's speculating about, we might be going to the Crystal Desert because of the Glint thing, the living story could taper off that way while the expansion moves up further into the jungle. But but because now they've said that a Glint hid a secret forest in the jungle and that kind of thing, it seems like both of them are going to be pushing in that direction. So even if there was not secondary story content exactly, but if there was extra story content that periodically unlocks on top of the expansion, because I think if they gated some story aspects of the expansion just for the sake of tying it into the living story, I think there might be a very mixed reaction from the community about that. Yeah. Even if you could eventually unlock it with the mastery system, if you unlock your mastery thing, but because that section of the story has not been released yet, I'm not quite sure how that would go over. And like I say, it would stop people blasting through the entire thing in a month and then jumping back on Poser's Ledge in Lion's Arch. But that's the point. Are we going to get Lion's Arch back?
I don't know.
Who knows? But that is a really good point. If the story was to come out on episodes, you're kind of working around. I mean, you could explore the whole map, and then the next episode, we've reached this bit, and your character's like, oh wow, look, we're here, we've managed to learn this thing, but it's like, I've been there for the past 2 weeks or something before the episode came out. So I don't know, and if they're gonna slowly roll out the maps, maybe like they did with Drytop and Silver Wastes, that wouldn't, to me, that wouldn't feel like I've got an expansion with all these new zones to go to either.
It'd feel like extra living story content, wouldn't it?
It's a tricky thing because, and on top of that, there's like, they could do the thing like go into Crystal Desert or like spin off kind of missions from the expansion story as part of the living world that comes out. But if people don't have the expansion, are they still gonna? We're back at this age-old question of, if you don't buy the expansion, are you still gonna get relevant living world stuff?
Yeah.
Or is it gonna tie heavy into the story of the expansion, and you're not really gonna know what's going on? So I don't know. And the thing is as well, like in the expansion, if they do roll out like another personal story thing,
mixed.
If they do roll out another personal story thing, are we gonna kill Mordramoth at the end of it? And
I was
if so,
wondering that too.
is the Living Story gonna deal with that and treat it as if we've killed Mordramoth, when there's people that might not have bought the expansion and haven't actually done that? I don't know. It's all up in the air. It's a tricky situation, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
See, because like I think I remember them like saying that the personal story and Living Story are now like the same thing as far as the narrative-wise, because it feels like they're kind of like there's very gray areas between them, because I was kind of looking at it as like the expansions, it feels like, and it would be kind of a good cycle, is that the expansions are what the living world builds up to. So like the seasons we've had so far have built up to this expansion, and then when this expansion ends, then that could be when season 3 and then season 4 starts up, and that can build us up to the expansion
that's
after.
What I was thinking.
Maguma. That's kind of what I was thinking.
That's what I was thinking, because like, you know, the game came out and then it took them a few months until we got the living world started, and by that point it was kind of, most people had played through it, and then when season 2 started, they said this is going to treat it as if your characters killed Zhaitan, like so they could do a similar thing where the expansion comes out for however many months, and then Living World 3 comes out, and it's like we've treating it like you've killed Mordramoth or whatever they plan on doing.
Right.
What about you, Peachy? What was your favourite bit?
Oh yeah.
Aside from rubbing shoulders with the devs, of course.
Well, you know, it was an amazing weekend. Definitely sitting at having dinner and me and Richie picking Colin Johansson's brain for about 2.5 hours was the most amazing experience of the entire weekend. But anyway, the probably the best thing that I was excited about from what they announced at the presentation was not just the Revenant class, but how it works. The fact that it is very deeply tied into lore, and the fact that the Revenant actually uses the powers of the Mists, which by itself is really friggin' cool. Yeah. But it channels heroes from Guild Wars past. So like I immediately, like my brain just goes to like thinking of every major character from Guild Wars 1. Like, oh my gosh, who could they use? They told us 2 of them, Jalis Ironhammer and Malix. But I'm just like, who else? How many are there going to be? I mean, it was just, oh my god, it was just amazing. I was like, oh my god.
Well, the trailer showed off Ritlock summoning a dragon that looked suspiciously like Glint. I'm not sure how many they're going to have anyway, because it basically changes like the kind of stat spread of your attacks, right? So, you know, one's going to boost your power and how tough you are. The other one that you call upon would maybe boost your condition damage, that kind of thing. So there's quite a lot of combinations they could do, but if you think of every other class, your kind of class-based functions are kind of F1 to F4. So does that mean you're only going to have 4 things to call upon, or are they going to do it like the Ranger system, where you can choose different ones to assign to each one, like how you choose a pet?
Perhaps if it's something like the Ritualist from Guild Wars 1. So if you have like your basic kind of attack with a weapon abilities, but then you've got a series of your utility skills, all of which are summon various kind of minor spirits. So you could summon people like, Christ, I don't know, like Althea or Duke Baradin, or you know, maybe somebody of that kind of caliber. Then you've got your ultimate elite skills, and it's kind of things like summon Kunavang, or summon Shirotagachi, summon Master Togo, summon Varish Ossa. That'd be amazing. That'd be really, really cool. I like Varish. But I mean, obviously a lot of people were kind of chucking around the, oh my god, heavy armored ritualist kind of character. So it would be really interesting to see if the utility skills were more based on a totally kind of spirit summoning kind of build. Because in the trailer where we were seeing Ritlock attack some new bad guys, some bad guys that we've not seen yet as well, which was kind of cool. He's got like kind of mass stealth attacks, and you know, he can at least use a fairly varied collection of weapon sets as well. So
well, they also said that summoning different ones is going to change like the skills you have, like. And I don't know whether that's going to be a complete change of like your 5 attacks, or whether it's just going to be a stat shift. But they implied that it was going to completely swap out the skills you have.
What if it's like the Elementalist, where you have your 4 attunements? You have like 4 heroes that you can
Yeah.
use their
cool.
skills.
That would be amazing, and that's maybe why he could do like the one at the end where he uses kind of magic and stuff. That could be his move there, but that's also why he was moving like a thief earlier on in the trailer, because whoever hero he summoned could be super dodging around and doing that kind of thing. I also think there's a lot of story stuff they could do here, because if he's able to call upon spirits, we could easily get an instance where he summons down, I don't know, some guy that's going to help out doing something in the story or something. Oh, here, like, Prince Rurik, appear and do this. Like, I choose you, kind of thing.
Well, actually, that could be really interesting, because if you can
especially
summon...
with the whole Ghost of Ascalon thing. He
yeah.
Well, do you know
maybe
what?
help out there.
Yeah, well, really weirdly, I'm actually reading Ghost of Ascalon at the moment, but
Represent such a good book.
I've got all 3 of them now to read. But I was thinking, if you can summon Prince Rurik, that's a story element, isn't it? Because we still don't know what happened to the swords, really, do we? From the end of Ascalonian Catacombs and from the end of Echoes of the Past, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Echoes of the I remember. The Dragon's Reach Part 2 was the whole ghost one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So, I mean, if you tie in the ritualist with, you know, Rytlock going to the mist, and then Rurik kind of been like, where's my sword?
Yeah.
So
where's my sword, man?
There's a potential for just the coolest stuff. I'm so excited. And they didn't even talk a lot about the lore and the story aspects of it. They're just like, you know, this is what we already know, and obviously Rytlock's going to come back, and he's going to come back as a new class. But other than that, they didn't really tell us much of anything about the story.
Me and a few guildmates were talking about how they could introduce this, because, again, and I think probably the same interview I read today, it said that apparently Rytlock was coming back to teach people how to become Revenant. And
that would make sense.
Yeah,
where did this new class come from? And he said that Rytlock is the first Revenant.
Yeah. It's going to be weird that one day he's going to be teaching millions of people to become Revenants. But whether are they going to have like a kind of weird tutorial about it, or are they going to just kind of he taught you, but you don't actually see or hear anything about him teaching you, like because it's such a new class. It's not like it's not like, oh, I've made a character and this is their whole life they've been like an elementalist. Like, it's different to every other class. When in a character creation, that might be a kind of thing, but they can't change because it's all racial based rather than class based. Like the first part of the story. So are we just to kind of assume he taught us and that's just kind of how it goes, or are they going to implement like some weird kind of pre-tutorial bit that teaches you? It's a bit strange. That is a
good question.
And that also brings in the whole thing is you're still going to start at the campaign's still going to start at before you've killed Zhaitan, surely, as well. Level 1, before all this stuff. So if you're a Revenant playing through that, we're in the timeline and it's before any Revenant even existed.
I think that might just be a meta thing that we're going to have to accept.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. But I mean, one of my guildies suggested that maybe it could be a class that you require like a level 80 on your account before you can make one or something.
Yeah, man.
And that way it kind of blocks it off, and so then maybe you can still play through the personal story just for leveling's sake, but like it's kind of all the actual relevant Revenant stuff is all like set after the personal story's finished or something.
So do you think maybe we could be in a position where maybe it's set up like one of the original extra campaigns from Guild Wars 1, where you're at a point in the overall story. So perhaps even when you create a Revenant, you go to a separate character creation screen, and your Revenant starts from the beginning of Heart of Thorns, and then you have the option to kind of backtrack and just go, well, while you were being forged in the mists or whatever, this is what happened last time on Guild Wars 2.
That kind of thing. But they would introduce the question of maybe would you start at a higher level than usual, which I think is quite unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Not to be like a killjoy on it. It's just that when Colin and them were talking about the Revenant class, they kept on focusing on how whether you're a new or old player, you can start your Revenant at level 1. Everyone's going to start at level 1, and it really does, just like Sam, what you were saying, is that it's going to, I think it really is going to be a kind of meta event, because I seriously doubt they'll do like a starting area like how like the hero class of the Death Knight and WoW has this huge lore thing that you go through of how you become a Death Knight. I really feel like they want to take the resources to other things. Than
I think I'd probably agree with you there. I think if we were getting maybe a new race, or if there were 2 new classes, it wouldn't be as much of a waste of resources to add something like that.
And I agree what you said, Ak, where Colin did say that if he said if a new player wants to start on even ground and play something that no one else has played before and start even, then they would start with Revenant. So
I guess we just have to kind of ignore the personal story in terms of lore. Which is a shame, but it makes sense, like it does.
But the class is going to be so cool, so
yeah. I can't wait to see millions of Revenants around the world.
Actually, weirdly, just touching on what you said, Corvus, about new races, I think it was a very good decision to not include a new playable 100%. Race.
That
with this
surprised
expansion.
me a little bit, but
I mean the thing. I mean,
point about that.
But the way I was looking at it was, say they introduced the Tengu, right? The world is going to be full of Tengu Revenants, and you're not going to be no. But the thing is, I mean,
that's true.
For better or worse, everyone would love to have a new race, myself included. But they're introducing so much at the moment. Firstly, I don't think it's that necessary to include a new race on top of what we're already getting.
I think if had we had a setup in the story throughout season 2 that kind of suggested like a new race emerging, like we've formed, there's no reason for them to slap on Tengu now. Like, had the finale ended like some of us had speculated with, the Tengu wall being destroyed or something, and that brought them out, it would have made sense.
Yeah.
But there's so much here, and like everyone would be a Tengu, everyone would be a Tengu Revenant, and also the Revenant is such a, I don't think of Tengu when I think of the Revenant.
Right.
But because they would be releasing them at the same time, it would kind of tie the two together, and it would kind of, I just think it wouldn't have been amazing. And they're kind of, I think while the whole specialization thing it's an awesome feature just in itself, it's a really good move to bring it out with a new class, because it means you're probably not going to see a bazillion Revenants in the world, because it's something new for people in their class that they're used to already.
Right.
And it's gonna cut down on the spam of new Revenants that we're gonna see, because there's actually stuff, and they're already level 80. You don't have to level them, and so we're gonna actually get a nice balance of classes. I think
there are people who you got the people who love their alts, so they're immediately gonna make a Revenant.
Yeah.
Then you have the people who they have their one main. That's what they play. That's what they care about. So they're going to worry about leveling them up to the next step in their specialization.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're absolutely right.
That was the biggest thing that I was excited about, was the specializations feature, because talking about things that they could add to these expansions, I was blown away by this, because we're essentially not just getting like one new class, like we literally are getting that many new classes. Which for an expansion, you usually tend to get like a new class, a new race, maybe both.
Yeah.
But to get like, what is it, like 9?
Yeah,
it's new class
kind of like
much.
With the Revenant,
it's like holy shit.
With the Revenant, we're gonna get 10 new classes basically, because you'll be able to specialize the Revenant.
Right.
So there's it's basically like 10 classes, because I think it's gonna be a whole different spec, like a whole new way to play, brand new skills. I'm guessing brand new skills for all of the weapons we already have, plus a new weapon, so that's another set of skills. With new utilities and an elite skill and a heal skill and stuff like that.
That's a lot.
It's awesome, dude. I cannot wait.
New traits and stuff.
Yeah,
as well.
And I hope they said that, like Alex, you said earlier on, that the new way of obtaining traits and stuff like that. And obviously they introduced the system where you could go do skill points or things like that to unlock traits on your character, or you could just buy them for skill points. And you unlock traits by doing you get what I'm saying. But it kind of, at this point, there's not much reason to actually go out and hunt them down. You can just buy them super easily from the trainer. So I think it'd be really cool if for like the mastery thing, you master this thing, you become a druid or a death knight for if you're a necro or something, and then all of the skills and stuff like that afterwards you might have to go and unlock, kind of like in Guild Wars 1 where you did quests to unlock skills.
Yeah.
Something like that would be amazing. It boosts like the exploration aspect. It feels like you're actually. It's not like, oh, I leveled up, so I unlock these.
Right, you're slowly learning, and you're slowly learning to become a druid. It's not just like, oh, congratulations, you finished the quest, you're a druid.
You're learning, you're mastering it, and I think like a progression like that would be amazing. And if they could do that for everything, if they could maybe raise the price of skills from the trainers or traits from the trainers, so it forces people a lot more anyway to go out and actually explore the worlds and stuff, and to actually progress their character. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah. There's something that I am particularly interested in seeing, and it's going to tie into the difficulty of the brand new content, because ArenaNet have a history of their new classes being exceptionally overpowered. I mean, if we all played Factions and Nightfall, like the Assassin with its immense spike damage, I love the Ritualist because you can close your eyes and just go for it. And I remember like the Dervish and the Paragon especially. Shut up, phone. And sorry. And people are like replying to tweets about Guild Wars while we're recording a guild game. It's like, just wait until the episode's up, damn you. but
damn you.
But just seeing how the balance is going to come in, because the balance patch dropped today, so might's been dropped from 30 down to 25 ticks or whatever it is now. Interestingly, you can now get all the extractors in Silver Waste.
Yeah,
but it's something that I'm really looking forward to is to see how the community is going to interact with helping to balance these new classes. Like I say, if you've got 10 new classes that are going to be part of the game, that means metas are going to change. They've already demonstrated that they really want to start pushing us away from the Zerka meta, which I think is a phenomenal idea. But then having 10 brand new classes to kind of balance into that, you know, I mean, hopefully this will do wonderful things for like kind of speedrunning parties for dungeons. So in the first couple of weeks where you have people start to unlock these ridiculously overpowered new classes, and obviously it's no disrespect to the developers, because you've really got to push this thing live to see what it does. And you know, it might be the case some of them are a little bit underpowered. I'm fully expecting the first 2 weeks of Revenant just to be hilarious. Like we can run a level 15 Revenant through
Fractal, like max level Fractal. Solo it.
But the thing is, like,
you guys hold back.
But the thing is, stuff like that, people are so pumped for these new classes and new weapons. I can see people getting really involved in helping to balance these things. It's something that I've been doing with Pillars of Eternity. As well, that the community's really coming together, and since Chris Whiteside restarted the CDI initiative, like people have really been embracing getting together with the developers, and I think especially when the game goes live, you know, there's going to be so much more interaction, and that's going to be really, really cool. As well as we're going to get to piss around with, you know, best part of a dozen new classes at the same time. So it's going to be great.
Incredible. Super good.
Yeah, what's that's kind of my next question is what do you guys main, and are you happy if the new weapon has been announced, are you happy with it? If it hasn't been, what do you want?
Necro Greatsword. Yeah. I already bought. It's like within the hour of them announcing that, I already bought the greatsword I want to use on my Necromancer and everything. I'm like,
which one is it?
So pumped. It was Cobalt. I've been wanting that greatsword for ages.
Cobalt's wonderful.
It's like it's like ridiculously cheap just now. So I was like, I'm getting that. I'm so excited. And one thing I'm really wanting with the specialization thing is for roles to become a bit more prominent. Sorry, like, I mean, they wanted to get rid of the whole, tank, DPS, and healer kind of thing, but I think you can do anything on every class just now, and so I really want it to be a hard decision whether to specialize or not. Like, if it's just kind of as general and as open, people are going to do it regardless. Like, no one's going to be a ranger, they're all going to be druids, because why wouldn't you? And they said that you could swap around whenever you want anyway, so, I mean, I guess it's kind of a bit redundant, but I want a bit more of... I want, like, these specializations to be really good at stuff, but also quite bad at different things as well. So it becomes more of an important decision whether to roll that or not. And so for Necromancer, we get the Greatsword. So I want close range stuff, like really maybe a lot slower cast times, but a lot more like power damage, maybe other like and a lot less condition damage kind of stuff. Like Necromancer weapons, skills that don't apply as many conditions would be really cool and interesting to play around. Maybe, I don't know.
You essentially just want the Calibog skills on your
yeah.
On your bar.
That's like the new utilities. I mean, it's tricky because Necromancer is already so balanced with stuff. Like you can be a minion master, but you can have no minions at all and go full power like I do. So it's going to be hard for them. I don't know how else they could do skills. They could just do kind of this. Like I'm worried that they're just going to do the same kind of balance. Like you become a Death Knight, you're more melee, but you can still summon minions, or you can go full like stat boost kind of skills or something. So I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting. Maybe more control and CC stuff, or I don't know what they could do for the skill sets. But I really hope it's different enough to become like a proper decision of whether you specialize into it or not. And I want that for like the whole mastery system. I want it to become, that's why I kind of half hope that there's going to be a limit on what you can master, because it would mean that like some people who are really into the lore are going to specialize there, but other people who are more mechanics based
of other things.
Stuff. Yeah, and that way it becomes a bit more crucial to decide on what you want to master, and so everyone's having a completely different experience. Because in like a year, everyone's gonna have mastered everything if it's totally open. So I don't know, but the interview that I read today again confirmed that you apparently are going to be able to swap between, being a druid and a ranger as long as you're out of combat.
Yeah.
So it could just be like, okay, this guy has like tough bark kind of thing, so we need to be more Condi based, so we're just gonna go specialize quickly, and then after the fight, I'm not a druid anymore, I'm a ranger again.
Yeah.
Well, weirdly enough, I was watching the when we were watching the announcement, I was hoping that classes could use extra weapon sets, and I main a ranger, so it's really weird. Even for all the ranger hate, there's always a spot for me in a dungeon party or a fractal, because I run the I run the Zerka spotter build, so everyone's like loving the extra precision I bring. And I've got to be honest, I was kind of hoping for rifle, because I wanted to make the Predator next, and I think it's a gorgeous skin, and I didn't want to, even though I've started playing NG a ton more, I kind of wanted it on my Ranger. But just watching and there's like, oh, you're going to be a Druid, and the staff came up and there was all that like viney attack that ran along the ground. I was like, yeah. I'll
take
that
it
instead. I'll have that.
Did you guys
instead.
notice that see, like, another reason why I was talking about how much they're going to change the specialized classes over the normal ones is, like, because the ranger in that with the staff still had his pet. I mean, obviously it'd be kind of a big deal if they took the pet away, but they're not straying from the kind of preset class kind of outline that much, obviously, if they've still got stuff like that. So I'm guessing whatever Necromancer's going to turn into is still going to get Death Shroud and stuff like that. Because I was thinking, it'd be cool to not have Adrenaline, or for like Ellie's to maybe when they specialize don't have their elements, they're more like arcane stuff, so they lose that ability to swap all the time, but instead gain like, I don't know, swapping into different aspects of like arcane magic, like crit chance and other stuff, like, so it's more of a stat change rather than an element change. Stuff like that, like, and really shake things up, but I don't know how likely that is. I think it might just be a way to introduce maybe a slightly different stat spread and build type.
Because I remember one of the things they were saying as well was that there would only be one specialization released at first, and they were hoping to bring some others in. So, of course, for the Elementalist, that means you could have one for each of the elements and then an arcane specialization as well. So you could be like a fire or an earth master or something like that.
Oh,
that'd be incredible.
An airbender or a firebender.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so many possibilities, and I've got to admit, one of the things that I was secretly hoping that they announced for Ranger is the ability to completely disable the pet. And I know this has been a big thing in the Ranger community, because you lose. I say you lose, but you transfer about 20 to 30% of your overall damage output into your pet, and once your pet goes down, you're a bit up the creek. So I mean, it would be really, really great to see what I fully expect more balance kind of patches to come into all the particular classes as they kind of progress this idea. And I know that Peachy, you play a Guardian main, don't you?
Guardian.
So there's been a lot of talk about Longbow, hasn't there?
Is that what the community's been saying? They want Longbow?
Good. Zealot,
Good, because that's, I really don't care if it's Longbow or Shortbow, but Longbow would be awesome. Yeah, definitely want a bow.
Well. I think that would fit it well.
Yeah.
See, there was also the Mesmer as well, which we could clearly see as being like a Chronomancer, so more time-based stuff.
Oh, that would be so cool, because that was going to be a class at one point.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff they could do with that, and that's obviously more time-based attacks and kind of CCE stuff as well. So like, we're kind of getting an idea on how the specializations are going to change the class you play, and I'm just super excited, especially to find out what Necromancers are going to be able to do. I can't wait.
Did you see that in the trailer? There's like
really
2-second shot of it. I was saying in the trailer.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead, Alex.
In the trailer, there's like a 3-second shot of an engineer, and everyone was like focusing on, oh my god, engineer could use hammer, but
floaty things, dude.
Flying turrets around him.
Dude, they looked amazing. Like,
so cool.
Flying drones. Yeah, those are awesome.
What about
Straight
you,
out of
Ak?
Star Wars, those little things. I'm like kind of still ridiculously nerdgasming over the Druid Ranger thing, because I love the flavor of a druid having a staff, especially in Guild Wars 2 mechanics, because that means they actually showed in the trailer he was doing a charge spell that you do with a staff as an air attunement in an elementalist, where you shoot something out. Only this time he's like charging up like solar power blasting thing. And I'm really hoping that I'm really hoping if it's either an elite skill, I hope it's not an elite skill, I hope it's like one of the other ones where you can actually shapeshift into like specific forms. I really want that because then I'll have the perfect druid class.
I think if they were going to bring in a shapeshift ability, they'd again sorry to be a bit of a negative Nancy, but they need to make them a little bit more. What's the word? A little bit more useful, I guess, than the non-elite skills. Because don't get me wrong, like running around as a giant kind of monged out raven is kind of fun to scare people, but like it's not a terribly useful thing, and I think the cooldown on them is quite high as well.
But that could be the tactic they use to make it so race isn't as important in combat and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think a shapeshifting thing would be awesome. But I think the attack they showed off was supernatural. It had vines and stuff, and I think skills really based around using like environment stuff would be really cool, and would change the way Ranger plays a lot more than just summoning spirits or like temporary power boosts, stuff like that. So it could be a lot more hands-on when it comes to spirits, making that kind of stuff a lot more useful. And I don't know, but then there's a lot of spirit stuff.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun.
And my ideas for if they were going to add to the Necromancer would have been more kind of beyond the grave kind of spirit stuff as well, but then they can't overdo that, so I don't know what Necro's going to be able to get.
Right.
What do you guys think about maybe like the Ellie actually getting a greatsword, so then all 3 light classes will have a greatsword option?
It'd be cool, but
I think it'd be really fun.
Elementalist is such a trick here, because it can summon weapons, and it can summon a greatsword, it can summon a hammer, a shield, and a bow.
I know.
So what could it possibly get, really?
Right.
But I love those Ellie spells, so I can't wait to find out what the what the specialization is. And the really cool thing I love about this, they're not just getting like the new weapons, but they're actually getting a little title, and there is actually a little lore connected to why they're getting it. So that's really awesome, which is, again, another reason why I'm loving these specializations. And the other quick thing here, just to ponder, because ArenaNet kind of blew everything out of the water with giving, like, we'll give you not just one new class, 10 new classes. It's like, it's like, okay, no new races, but 10 freaking new classes. Is that the next expansion? What if they build it up to have like no specializations, but then they like throw not 1, not 2, but maybe even 3 or more new races? They're just like, here, It's like 5 new races. Here you go.
Well, we'll have to see where the story goes. I think the story is probably the biggest tell here in terms of whether we're going to get races and which ones we are getting. So keep an eye out. We might be playing as the Hecate or the Hylic or something like that, based on who we see in the jungle.
Or I don't know. Were those Mersat?
Quagga says ooh.
I definitely believe it was the Mersat.
Yeah, it's absolutely Mersat. Yeah.
I like the way the wings look now, the whole light kind of tendrily things.
Those guys look
they look
so
amazing.
badass.
And the fact that they appear to be allies of us.
Yeah.
The whole 10-man instance. What's going on? So much stuff, dude. It's awesome.
Be awesome, man.
Guild halls.
Yeah.
That you can slowly progress, and
that's pretty
they're
crazy,
confirmed
man.
to have a narrative aspect to Guild
Yeah.
Halls as well. What's up with that? Like,
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. It's like people are just like, we want more stories. Like, fine, have more story, and everyone's like, Jesus shit. That's more story. But it's brilliant, and also as the guild leader of a guild with 2.75 million influence.
Yes, all the upgrades.
I mean, you're gonna be able to
free drinks for everyone.
Add stuff to your guild halls and stuff like that. I mean, slowly build up. So you have banks, you have trading post people there, maybe like Mystic Forge or something. They also said that it was going to be a way you could. They said it in a way that could be interpreted in a lot of ways. Like, you're going to be able to set out on missions, prepare for missions and stuff like that there. But is that going to be you're in your guild hall and then you kind of go, right, talk to this guy, and then you set up like a mission to fight Tequatl, and then suddenly you're all there on a journey to do a guild instance or something like that, like from your hall.
How about we would unlock some guild narrative and all that.
Yeah.
Talk to the bloke in the guild hall. He says, "Go and do this inside the guild hall," and you unlock a new section. Right?
That'd be cool.
How cool would that be? Like, you actually have to work together in the guild hall. You just go, right, you guys want like a new parlor or something, and or like unlock the marketplace or something like that. It's like, right, instead of just collecting an arbitrary amount of influence, you use the influence to unlock the mission, and then you all have to work together to unlock the bits in your guild hall.
Right. Yeah. It's like your own little guild's personal little mini map.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mini zone.
Yeah. And then you can go to other people's guild halls and look down on them because they've not got that particular open yet.
I was thinking as well, they spoke about making guilds a big part of the game. Like, at the interview, again, I read today that I keep... I'll try and find a link to it or something. But they actually... Like, I think Colin Johansson actually said that we really want to put the guild back in Guild Wars. And he said they really want to focus on like bringing the importance of that back and having like super rewarding stuff like by progressing, because we've got guild missions which are still fun to do every week now, but like I'm guessing they're going to add a lot more to that. They're going to add more things you can spend your influence on and more upgrades to your guild halls and stuff like that. And as well as that, they've got the PvP type that's going to basically be like GVG, where you form guild teams and fight other guild teams, and there's going to be a way to see like the top 100 or so guilds in the world. What if they add a way, like a tier system, and as you reach to the highest tier, you get capes?
Oh, you dick. Legendary capes.
I was thinking about it, and I did speak about this in the video that should be up, and by the time this is out, I'm not too sure. But they, they announced like if maybe it's a thing that you get when you progress in a GVG style season type thing into the top 100. If you make that, you get awarded one. But I mean, that would kind of force people to go into PvP if they might not like it. So I was thinking maybe they could have different ways, like you do really well in PvP and your guild gets like a specific shape of cape or something. And then if you do PvE stuff, you get different. Yeah, like depending on what kind of area you play, what game mode you play in a lot, you have like a different design of cape or something like that. And so then, you're going to walk around, you're going to be like, oh, dude, look, they're all from that guild. And you can see they've got capes on and stuff. That'd be amazing.
Or if like you could get obviously like in Guild Wars 1 you had the icon in the back of the cape, but it might, if it was implemented as like a secondary title kind of thing, so you get like a particular icon unlocked for killing Tequatl, you get something for exploration, you get something for doing things like World v World, and that way you can display your individual achievements if you want, or you can represent your guild.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, and or maybe different pattern kind of designs under your emblem, depending on different things you do. Like, oh, you've got your guild emblem, and then there's this huge dragon shape behind it, like part of the banner thing, which you got from doing a guild mission fighting Tequatl or something. Stuff like that would be amazing and a super good way to be like. It would just put the emphasis back on guilds, and you'd start recognizing emblems, and you'd start recognizing, oh, like they have this guild emblem and this symbol, so they're this guild, you know, and it would just. That's the kind of stuff I want. Like, I really want that so bad. Yeah. Obviously,
I mean,
the clipping, you know, like
I was just thinking that, like, with like this like rumored like raid type system that they're supposed to bring in, like with the emphasis, just as you guys are saying, how they want to bring it to the guilds, and how there's the PvP section where you can go fighting with your guild. What if, like, the raid type battles are actually geared to specifically go in with your guild, like to actually get as many guildies as possible, like somehow. I have no idea what exactly I'm talking about, but you know, something guild PV related, you know, mega thing.
They're gonna want to put the emphasis on like making the raids like organized and stuff. And what better way than to lock it behind being in a guild? I mean, LFG is fine, and you can use that for dungeons, and I'm sure they're gonna add more to dungeons and stuff. But maybe the raids are like. You need to have. It's gonna really put the focus on guilds, and you're gonna do that, and maybe that
would be so
get
awesome.
Exclusive rewards from doing that, like armor pieces that you earn, and maybe it's based off achievement. Like again, I mentioned this in the video, but like achievement-based rewards rather than RNG ones or token ones, because then you've done this specific hard thing that you can only get. You can't get carried through a raid and then save enough tokens up. You know, or buy paths and then save enough tokens up. You have to complete this achievement to get this armor piece or something. And that way they can really lock it behind like a challenge. And I think stuff like that would be amazing.
It's something that they did when Tequatl was originally revamped, when they had Boss Week. And I know you can buy it from the Laurel vendor now, but you've got the Wings of the Sunless as like your achievement for beating Tequatl when nobody had a clue what was going on. But no, that kind of thing would be fantastic. And it will be a very difficult thing to balance because, as Mike O'Brien said in the announcement, showcase? Yeah, they want to continue to appeal to the casual players, but they want to have an aspect to please the veterans and to please the more hardcore community as well. So I think again, it's going to be a very fine line between perhaps gating content behind. Maybe not being in a particular guild, but of course, I know that we occasionally run with the guys at GW2community.com. They're the guys who got the world's first worm kill when on Desolation when servers were still a thing, and you know if you can somehow if something like the three-headed worm that communication isn't not an option. You know, it's mandatory. You've got to, you've got to communicate because as much as I love my guild, it's like guild missions are a DPS fest we get over within 40 minutes. You know, and that's everything. And it's absolutely crackers that you can be relatively uncoordinated and everyone gets their personal rewards. But if you bring in the fact that the guild gets rewards as well, something past merits and something past influence, like specific unlocks for your guild hall for completing a particular, fairly hardcore guild event, then you a little bit of exclusivity and elitism isn't a bad thing. It keeps people striving to be better at the game and say, look at this amazing swag that we've got.
Or have achievements during guild missions that you have to coordinate with each other to get. You have to tell every single person, don't kill this enemy, or we have to do this fast, or some kind of extra step, above just DPSing guild missions.
Well, that's the thing. Like Guild Wars is it's against the grind stuff, and so their reward system has to basically anything that's got any kind of prestige has to come from challenge. Like
absolutely,
it's the only way now. It's not like okay, you can get a legendary and you can get twice old legend if you grind enough and stuff like that. But I think it's like that whole thing of titles. It's not what the title actually is. It's how difficult it was to get that makes you want to wear it. And so if they like you said, like adding stuff like that's really difficult and quite prestigious is like just a good thing, and to see that guy that's walking down with like this amazing armor, it's gonna be like, oh man, he's done this and like no one else has done that, like, or it's really difficult to do. And there's unfortunately, now there's not much of that. Like back when the game first came out, seeing a guy with Citadel of Flame Armor was like, oh,
yes.
cool. But now it's like everyone has that, you know, and it's lost that, and that's just because the game's, you know, people have got a really like systematic way of doing things now. They know the best and fastest way to run this dungeon, and so that's why you need to keep adding challenge or doing like what they did with Tequal, like where they update it, make it a lot harder. And so the raid system, I think, it shouldn't be like a token kind of thing. I think that serves quite well for new players and kind of people who are not as invested. But for raids and like kind of guild stuff, I think it should be really tricky to get to the point where you can recognize specific people because of what gear they've got or what they're showing off. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they incorporate that kind of thing. That being said, in the CDIs, they did, it was stressed at one point that they wanted it to kind of be available to everyone. They didn't want only these like huge guilds. They wanted small guilds, you know, between 20 and 50 people in a guild or something, to still be able to progress and to still be able to update their guild halls. So whether it could scale relative to the members you've got or how active everyone is or something. So, you know, one thing for like a small guild is going to be the same amount of work as something for a big guild. It's not going to be, it's not going to be like a massive guild can storm through everything while the small guys are, you know, doing nothing basically.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for, because like I say, even if we've got this ridiculous amount of influence, there's no challenge to just going, I'm going to spend 1 million influence on the biggest, shiniest guild hall that the game gives us. There's you know, it's like that thing of just being given something, isn't it? You know, it's how I imagine people who just kind of bought like a full legendary on the trading post feel. There's absolutely no sense of achievement there, and to actually, you know, have to work properly for your guild hall in the original Guild Wars before they changed it. There was a specific item that you had to get from somewhere. It was some kind of like celestial sigil or something, and you had to do like a series of challenges or a particular kind of mission to get it, and only when you did that you could unlock which guild hall you wanted to buy and that kind of thing. So I think absolutely it's very important that the small guilds don't get left behind, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, because
if it was like a simple like this however many thousand of influence to unlock the kind of guild hall unlock, it's fine kind of on paper, I guess, but there are, like you said, like your guild that has millions of it just hanging around, and then the small guilds that might have only started recently, or new players that have come because of the expansion and have formed a guild with their friends who don't have anything. I think it should come from more of an achievement thing. Maybe the base unlock could be an influence-based thing, but I think upgrades and things like that should be unlocks through doing certain missions or something together, or raids together, or Tequal or the Worm and that kind of thing. You know, maybe you know, if they bring out Season 1 again as kind of missions for the guild or something, like based in the mist, so it works time wise. Guild marionette fight, you know, stuff like that. Yes. Which I think was kind of confirmed actually.
Was it?
Someone was talking to Colin at the after party, and they were talking about guild stuff and guild missions, and before the guy could say anything, I think Colin did mention the marionette as like a possible idea for guild mission style stuff.
That would be awesome.
Things like that would be incredible.
Guild Breachmaker, man.
Yeah, dude, that'd be so good.
Do we have any, we're almost at an hour, but do we have any quick words about the World vs. World or SPVP changes? Strongholds and new maps?
I'm super looking forward to the PvP stuff. I think it's going to get a lot more people into PvP. I mean, the new changes that they did around Winter's Day were super good, and I think brought a lot of people in. Same with the new daily system, where it's a lot more easier to go in and just join in around a PvP match and have fun with it. This is going to bring maybe even like mainly PvE guilds into PvP if it's like guild teams and stuff like that. So I'm super looking forward to that. And the World v. World stuff looks awesome as well. Like, dynamic maps and stuff. I mean, World vs. World guys have probably had it the worst out of everyone because they've had seasons.
Nothing's changed in 2.5 years, has it?
Exactly. I mean, they had the thing at Winter's Day again, which was like, you know, it was kind of all stealthy. Like no swords came up on the map if a place was contested. So it was kind of, you had to have people holding all times to kind of see if anyone was attacking and stuff like that, which was cool. But apart from that and the odd season, there's not really been much. I mean, Edge of the Mist's fine, but that's not really a World v World. That's not that's not like World v World for people that aren't into World v World. Basically, it's not a change to the core system.
I think the weird thing is I actually think Edge of the Mists is more PvE than it is PvP, simply because the way that it's structured at the moment is that there's no focus on defending anything in Edge of the Mists. Like it's very rare that a Zerg actually runs into an enemy Zerg, because you just kind of rotate on the map, and anything that isn't your color you just kind of work towards. And don't worry, it's a phenomenal karma train. Like the karma just goes up and up and up. And for everyone who was on this weekend just gone, when it was the double XP, it just like I was playing with a guildmate. He leveled completely an elementalist in 8 hours.
What?
0 to 80 in 8. What, level 1 to level 80 in 8 hours? Just Edge of the Mist, just going round and round and round.
It's incredible.
It's absolutely insane. And
I don't think I'd seen Edge of the Mist that active, before this weekend. It was incredible for that. It's weird because it's kind of Edge of the Mist could be seen as kind of an introduction to World v World before you get serious about it. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff in Edge of the Mist that isn't in World v World. It's like a lot more. It's kind of its own thing. It's got a lot of mechanics that aren't in World v World as well. So I don't know. It's kind of just a thing on its own that people have fun with, and it is totally fun, and it's super good for leveling and for getting karma and stuff. But I think the new World v World changes that they announced are what it needed. Like, it didn't need necessarily Edge of the Mist, and I think it did. Edge of the Mist did what it did, and that's great, but World v World really needed a lick of paint, and I'm super glad that it's finally got it, because so many people just play that. Many people play anything else.
Sitting during the presentation, I was sitting next to Rihanna, I hope I got her name right, who does, like, exclusively streams World vs. World, and she lost her mind when they were talking about the World vs. World changes. Like, it was just exactly what they needed.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Great because pretty much at the moment you've only got kind of 2 or 3 rough roles in World v World. You've got Scout, you've got people who roam in 5-man teams, and you've got the Zerg. And now you have to defend your objectives. Yeah. And aside from Stone Mist in Eternal Battlegrounds, I've not really seen that happen that much. I mean, in the individual Borderlands, it's not quite as bad as Edge of the Mists for not holding places, because people do respond to keeps and towers and everything being taken. But like Colin was saying, if you fight for Stone Mist for an hour, you want to make sure that you hold on to it, and just saying, right, if you hang on to Stone Mist, if your server manages to hang on for Stone Mist for 12 hours, you get some kind of awesome buff.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the way to go. And he was just talking about holding, like, the Earth Keep and the Fire Keep, where you can, like, throw lava at the bad guys.
Swimming through the lava to get around the map. And
it's awesome. And I think stuff like that, it kind of reminds me of... do you guys remember the PvP? I don't know how much you guys play PvP, but they actually removed, like, a map from PvP which had the underwater stuff, and whoever held the underwater one... Yeah, and whoever held the underwater point, all of the mobs in that area were on their team and would attack enemies, but not you. And it was really good, but they totally took it out because no one bothered with underwater stuff, and I don't think that many people liked it. I thought it was really cool. But it's a similar thing where you hold this place and the environment changes because you've got it and is on your side, and I think stuff like that is so good.
It is cool.
I'm super looking forward to that.
I've just had a really awesome thought. You know how in PvE we're going to get the hang gliding thing? World v World dogfighting.
Oh my god.
Make it happen!
Oh god.
I want to know if... I mean, I doubt there will, but stuff like that could be incorporated into stuff quite well. But
Charring a plane.
Before they announced it, they were talking about, the whole diving goggles thing and, jumping off and how your skills automatically change when you've got them on to, like, do a trick in the air kind of thing. And I think that's probably how the hang gliding is going to work. You jump off, your skills swap to the hang gliding ones, and then that's how you fly around. So I don't know if there's going to be combat based stuff to do with that. It'd be quite interesting though.
You could carpet bomb Stone Mist. And you just see, like, everyone flying over.
Bombing runs in World v World. Wow, amazing.
I mean, it completely defeats the point of having to break down like reinforced walls and everything. So probably not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just flying over it. Warriors using it and then trading it into the whole, you know, you cause an earthquake when you take fall damage and just flying around, dropping down. That'd be amazing.
And with that, and my dogs being misbehaving, we're going to end there. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about in the future because in the coming weeks they're going to slowly reveal more and more features and more, not features, but details about the features for Heart of Thorns. So that will be exciting. It will give us a lot to talk about. I'm excited. Go and check out everyone's channels. Awesome Guild Wars 2 videos and stuff and music and guides and yay, stuff. Okay, we will see you guys next time. Take care.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
The end.
Circle.
Circle.
I can't do the square. Square. Triangle.
Triangle.
Bah.
Bear.